Okay, so for this part of our interview after our exercise, I didn't have time to ask you yesterday, so I'm gonna ask you today what I wanted to ask you yesterday. This is the part for your book. Remember I said that I can videotape it and then I'll put it in transcribes and then we can put that to make a book of your life so you don't have to write it or type it, you just talk about it. So yesterday was day 1, so let's start with that. So for day 1, it says to focus on your relationship with your grandparents. So we were talking this morning when we walked about your grandparents, so that was pretty cool. The first question was, what were your grandparents like? So let's start with your grandpa, since we were talking about what he did. You want to share that story and then kind of use that story to say how he was? So what happened, what's that one event you remember that happened when you were cleaning with music and your grandpa came home?
How could I forget that? That's exactly what happened.
How old were you? About?
You see, I was in 5th grade, I think it was. 5th or 6th grade. I must have been.
So about 10?
Around that. I wasn't 12 yet. 10 sounds more like it.
And what happened?
I was so happy that day, and I put the radio on, and here comes my favorite station, and I started singing the songs that they were singing. That's how I learned all my songs, my Spanish songs. And all of a sudden they were coming. And I wondered what happened. Did the radio decide to stop or what? I was gonna go fix it. And then I saw my grandfather. And he was just standing there and he said, you don't listen to music when you're doing your work. Okay, so that was one of his lessons.
So what were you cleaning? Were you do you remember what room you were? Was it?
I was in the kitchen.
Okay. And the radio was in what room?
Same.
The kitchen?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but you had to go to it, so was it a big kitchen?
It was pretty good size, yeah. It was pretty good size, but I was so enthused in the music that I was forgetting everything, just I wanted to learn that song. And I did, but it was hard.
So after that your grandpa did that, did you ever listen to music while you were cleaning, when you were growing up?
No.
You didn't?
No.
That was a lesson learned. And so your grandpa was stern, and you guys listened, or you did. What else can you tell me about him? What other memories you have?
He smoked.
He smoked?
He went outside and if it was getting a little dark outside when he was sitting, after he came back from work because he was working, I would see that a little light go off and on, because everything was dark outside. Dark, like a light. I thought it was, at first I thought something's catching fire, and it was him. He was smoking.
So he didn't smoke in the house?
Oh no, my grandmother would not have done that.
Was the house a big house?
It was pretty good size.
Yeah, like how many bedrooms, you remember?
I wanna say 2. Or it could have been 2.5, like,
Did you have your own room?
Yeah.
And then your grandparents had a room?
Yeah.
And is that the only ones who lived in the house?
that's the only ones I lived in. No, my dad will visit once in a while,
Yeah,
unless he stood in the front room, I don't remember.
yeah. Was it in the country or in the city?
More or less, city, oh, like this.
So you would walk to school?
With neighbors and, yeah.
You could walk to school, yeah. I mean, even people in the country would walk, but it wasn't too far.
No, not at all. I remember, running to school sometimes.
Because you're late. How did you wake up? Did you have an alarm?
Oh, no, my grandmother would wake me up.
So what's one of the early memories of your grandmother that you have when you were the youngest?
Strict.
She was strict? Like what, give me an example, what would she do that was strict?
She was very active for her age. Now that I think about it, very active, and she would, herself, she would do the cleaning and everything. I was just, I was there in case I was needed. But she didn't want me there.
Oh, she didn't want you helping cleaning?
No, she wanted me getting my homework done.
Oh.
So, and getting my clothes ready and my shoes shine for school.
You used to shine your shoes? Every day?
Just about
Yeah.
every day. It was the kind with the two colors, the white and the brown.
So what
Oxfords.
what was a typical day like for you when you were little going to school?
It was, every day was different.
Really?
Yeah. There was a vegetable man that used to come with his pickup truck selling vegetables.
Oh, wow.
And so I used to watch for him because, normally she would buy something for lunch or dinner or whatever. Yeah, and then we had like, I wanna say, it was, how do you say that, Ellie?
Alec?
It had a different name. It cut corners to go to the store.
A shortcut.
It was a shortcut.
Oh, nice.
And it was like behind the house on the side. Yeah.
So where would you buy, so the vegetables would come to you on a truck and you would shop, you guys would shop. Where would you buy the rest of your food? Like the meats and the bread?
And then the rest of the meat would be at the store.
Yeah.
It was close by.
Was it a big store, like a Safeway? No, or a small store?
What's the smaller one?
Yeah, like a neighborhood store.
Yeah.
That's what they used to have on, they used to have big
That was
stores.
the small one. Because I sometimes had to walk it over there.
Yeah.
And, I wasn't that old either.
So she didn't want you to clean because she wanted you to do your homework and study.
Definitely. That was.
What about cooking? Did you ever help her cook?
I helped her.
Yeah. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, which one?
Either.
All of them? Yeah. What do you remember her teaching you on cooking? Like describe a day.
We had a lot of, pinto beans, and at first I started by cleaning them and getting them ready to cook.
Nice.
Little things like that, so that I would learn as to how it's done.
That's neat. That's good. What else was she strict in? So she was strict in you doing your homework. Did she have like rules for you?
Keeping the house clean, that's also very important.
Yeah.
Because she probably figured that she had company, she would help my other aunt coming on that. And she had like 5 kids.
She'd bring all the kids?
Sometimes.
Yeah. And that's who you played with, right?
and got very close to her, and I just called her the other day.
Mary, the one who
Yeah,
was in
Mary.
LA?
Mm-hmm.
So she would come, so she was your aunt lived close by and she was like a sister, cause you'd probably see her a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Did you guys ever fight?
No.
No, just good friends?
Mm-hmm.
That's neat, that's really good.
Yeah.
And then how about her other, the other kids? Did you get,
Her kids,
yeah,
of course, the oldest was my best friend,
who's that?
Mary,
Okay.
her daughter, her oldest daughter.
Oh,
So
and the
it's-
other ones were younger.
Oh, yeah,
Okay. Did you ever babysit the younger ones?
sometimes,
Yeah. Do you remember their names?
yeah.
Is that,
The youngest one was named Salvador,
oh, okay, I remember that name, Salvador.
and then, Julian,
Oh,
Julian.
Julian, yeah, I remember that name too.
Mhm.
Julian, yeah.
and then, of course, Melly,
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 yeah,
and
she only had 5.
what was her name? Do you remember your aunt's name?
Whose name?
Your aunt, your dad's sister, the one who lives
Okay.
in Texas.
Maria Luisa.
Maria Luis, I remember that name
But it
too,
would be
when I was
Licha.
in the family tree, yeah, yeah.
They,
That's why Licha went by Licha, because she had the same name as her mom. Wow. Yeah, I saw, when I did family trees, I see that the kids, boys and girls are named after their mom. And I go, that gets confusing. Like you look at their birthdays like, oh, okay, no, that was the kid. And then they make a nickname so they can tell at home who's who. That's interesting. How about your dad's other siblings? Was there anybody else who lived in Texas?
after he moved to California, he married, and right away they moved to California.
How old were you?
I was still, small.
Yeah.
Cause I remember my dad, sometimes he would be visiting, because he visited. He lived there, and he visited. And that was brought to my attention, visited. And, cause my grandmother didn't wanna let me go, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
Cause she could have, I would hear them talking,
Uh-huh.
and my dad would tease her. I could tell that he was teasing. He said, I'm gonna take her with me, and then, she said, oh, no, you're not. I took care of her. She stays right here, she's not leaving anywhere. You're not taking her. So that was right for me.
Oh, my
But
God.
I wasn't allowed to go with my dad either, because it was kind of wild, and that kind of life I could see was opposite to his parents. And so I didn't wanna get in the middle. I did what I had to do.
That's good, yeah. Because your grandparents did a stable home for you. You didn't have to move
Yeah.
around and things like that.
But he would tell me little advice here and there, And it must not have been too important, because I don't remember them.
Well, we have a lot of stuff going in our heads.
Yeah.
It's hard to remember every detail.
But I do remember, us talking like you and I talking right now.
Uh-huh.
And would be on this great big bed, I remember, and we'd be talking back and forth. And I would ask him questions, and he would answer my questions. That also I remember about him, I did have a lot of, respect for him. But, my grandmother was always on the watch. She's not leaving this place. Until I became a teenager.
And then the whole game changes, I know. Did they ever talk about, what it was like for them in Mexico? Your
It was,
grandma, your
just
grandma
her,
came from Mexico, yeah.
yeah, just
I
her.
mean, Yeah, so she came during a really turbulent time in Mexican history. Did she ever say anything about why she
No,
left
but she was
Mexico?
real tough.
Yeah. Yeah.
She had to be.
Yeah, really? It's true.
She right away,
Did she have kids from a previous marriage?
one,
Yeah.
she had one,
Did he?
a son.
A son. Did he live with her or he stayed in Mexico?
No,
Cause she left her husband in Mexico, right?
yes.
Did she ever tell you that? No. When I was doing research, I saw like the marriage records of her, and there's a lot of, gaps, but it was like in the southern part of Mexico, and then like the next, she was like crossing the border, and I was like, but it didn't show her crossing with anyone, so it looks like she came by herself.
Yeah.
So, wow. And she never said why, like she left?
No, it was just like, it's something that she wanted to do.
Yeah.
Everything she did is because she wanted to do it.
Did she ever see her son again? Did he come and see you?
No, he left, when she married my grandfather.
Her son left? So she did come with her son?
No, wait a minute, not that son,
Oh,
with my dad.
your dad.
My dad's, first son, with the other marriage.
Bobby.
No,
Oh, your dad was married before? Before your,
no, not before. Not before my mom was first,
okay. But then he married somebody else.
after she, after that. They couldn't handle him. Cause I could see him, and I was, no. And I remember where it was in a school. It was like an old school, it was closed. And it had a staircase, a small one. And my grandmother used to go down under this, it was about maybe 4 steps down, but you could work out and see what's going on, hide it. And so she just, could see. And there were times that my dad would come to visit, and we would start talking like we're talking now. I must have been a little bit older, and, then his first visits, and they came after. And we would sit in the bed, and pretty soon we were with the big pillows. I remember the big pillows. We were talking, we'd be talking. And he would tell me, what I wanted to know how I was doing, what I was doing, how I was going to school, all that. And then he'd kid around, and he says, your grandma wants you to go with her. She said, but I'm not gonna let that happen. And I said, why? I'm here with her. I'm with her. I've been with her since I was a little baby, 3 months old.
Wow.
Why would I go down? And he started laughing. He says, I was just kidding.
Did he ever tell you what happened to your mom? Did you ever ask
My
him?
mom?
Yeah.
She was too young, and I could tell by the birth certificates too. I can still tell by that.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was too young, just a.
But did he say anything to you? Or did you ever ask him?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, right?
I better believe it. He had, do you call those, like a painting,
Oh,
but on his body,
a tattoo.
a tattoo of my mom's profile, the whole face of profile.
Wow. But like, her face looking like her face, or like a silhouette?
Let me think, how was that picture?
Wow,
A silhouette, I think.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then you asked him, what's that?
I did, I said, oh, what a bit, you know, it was the first time that, you know, he took off his shirt and I think he wanted me to see that. And I said, oh, what's that? What's that? And then he told me, this is the picture of your mom.
Wow.
Her? I said, oh, she was young. She says, yeah, she's young. And that's what he told me, he said, we loved each other very much. He says, but her parents didn't want us together because they knew that I was drinking and they didn't want her to marry somebody that drinks. I said, oh, good. I feel sorry for you. I'll disown you if you start drinking. And I was laughing, you know. I made fun of him a lot. Yeah. But he was like more like a big brother, that type. And he did like to drink. And he'd lose it when he would drink. You know, because I remember one time that we were like that, like this talking, you know, kind of real at ease. And then all of a sudden, I saw him get up, stand up and then grab the door. Somebody was coming and trying to open the door on the other side, and it was a police officer. And I'm like, what's going on?
Wow.
And my grandfather came right over.
Took you around, took you away. Wow. How did it make you feel when you knew your dad was drunk? Like,
I saw him as, because when he was not drunk, he was so good. And when he was drunk, he wasn't bad or anything, but he was wild. I mean, he became like a wild person.
wow.
You know, like for instance, you know, somebody must have been, you know, following him around, and they knew where he was living, and they found out, and then they didn't, all of a sudden, this was, all of a sudden, but they got him and they threw him in the ground.
And you saw?
About three or four steps down.
And you were little.
Yeah, I looked and I thought, what's going on? What is going on?
Yeah.
And I thought, well, that's what he gets when he gets drunk.
I'm not gonna drink.
It took me way back.
How about your grandma? Did you ever ask her about your mom?
Yeah, I would ask questions, but wasn't too open
Yeah.
to discuss it. And she had nothing good to say, you know, like her whole family was. Them, she said that the mom and dad, her mom and dad, that they used to fight, and then they used to try and keep her away from my dad as much as possible. And they would put her someplace else or send her to stay with her aunt or, you know, kind of keep her away because they didn't want the union. They didn't think that it was a good mix match.
Yeah.
And I said, whatever, yeah, I'm out of it.
How old were you when you started to want to find your mom? Was
I
that
was already, because when I was going to school, I was being kept so busy, because school over there is different.
Yeah.
There's
Texas, everything's different, Texas.
stricter, and you better have your own work.
Mhm.
Otherwise, you're kept after school.
Yeah.
Not just staying after school, cleaning the erasers.
Oh, yeah. Saw in movies.
And yeah, and you wouldn't get out of that room.
So it was after you finished school
What do you mean?
that you wanted to find, you got curious about your mom?
No, I was curious all the time. I would see pictures, because I have a picture. I would see pictures of her. But then I would think, in my own mind, I would think, well, she didn't care that much. But then I thought, then the next thought would come, and, but how old was she? 15? 14? Didn't even know what the heck she was doing, you know? And she was very close friends with Licha.
Oh, wow.
They would hang around.
So what happened after?
She
you
left,
were-
her parents took her
Yeah.
out of town.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
Her parents closed the door. And then closed the door, and my aunts took over. Because they were at the same age, right? And they would take me like to the cresses, and
What's a crisis?
cress is like, what we have here, like, that real famous store,
Like a Walgreens or a Macy's or?
like a Macy's.
Like a Macy's, okay.
Or even more so, it was like, they had the high stools. I remember those high stools.
Aww.
And they would turn around,
Uh-huh.
and I did that. But they were there with me.
Yeah.
They would take me anywhere, well, teenagers.
Aunts, so which aunts?
Licha and Amalia.
Amalia and Alicia.
Amalia was the one that gave me a lot of advice, because she was married by that time.
And Amalia lived here in California?
Lived?
She moved to California?
No.
No, she stayed in Texas?
Yeah.
Okay. Licha's the one who moved to
Oh, yeah.
California? Okay.
Yeah, she worked over here.
But they both were taking care of you when you were young?
Yeah.
Aww.
Yeah, they did. And not even because I would just stick around with their kids.
Right, yeah.
You know.
One more. And then your dad was in California having babies with his new wife.
Yeah.
How did you find out he got married again?
I think he got a hold of my grandma.
Yeah. And then your grandma told you?
Yeah. And of course she wanted to go and see the
Who he married. So she brought you here?
Huh?
She brought you to California?
Yeah.
To see him, see his new wife?
But I was already close to high school, ready to go to high school.
Oh, wow. So like Jennifer's age, middle school?
Jenny's there.
Yeah, 12, 13.
That was interesting.
So they already had kids then, if you were that old. Their kids were, because Bobby's not that much younger than you,
No.
or
I
is
don't
he?
know how much of it.
I'll find out.
He hasn't called. And I think Stella wanted to come.
Yeah. So your grandma brought you here, you met your dad's wife. What did you think when you first met her?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Who's she?
What did you think about their kids? Were you jealous?
No.
No?
No.
I
No, because we were in California and they were in Texas.
Who?
My dad and his wife.
So well, I'm confused. So your dad was in Texas
Yeah,
with his wife and kids?
yes.
And then where did you meet him?
When I went with grandma came to California, and then grandma got a job in the fish cannery.
Oh, wow.
She was working with Licha because Licha was working for the company.
What city?
San Francisco.
Oh, that's when your grandma stayed in San Francisco for a little while.
Mhm.
And where did your dad live when you guys were in San Francisco? Close by?
My dad, where was he?
Because you must have seen him when you were there.
Yeah, I think they were living at the time. They were living, also in San Francisco.
Okay.
Because I remember that my uncle, the guy that married my aunt, he was working in San Francisco.
With your dad?
Still, not my dad, my
Uncle?
my uncle.
Okay.
Oh, he was another one that gave me all kinds of advice.
Yeah, that's
I
good.
had a lot of people with a lot of advice.
And then your dad, did he work in San Francisco too? Did you with your grandma?
My dad, he was in Pomona, which is a little town outside Los Angeles.
Oh, okay. So California, but far away.
Uh-huh.
So you didn't see him that much?
Not really.
Yeah.
No.
He's over
I
there.
was busy with
His family,
his new,
growing family.
yeah, and we didn't get along.
Who?
Me and that lady.
Oh, is she mean?
Because she was, I don't know, she was too lazy, like, dirty and lazy. I remember her being like that. And that went against me. Because at that point I was a cleaner.
Yeah, your grandma taught you. She showed you how to do it.
Uh-huh.
Oh my goodness.
How things happen, huh?
Yeah.
But people make them happen.
That is awesome. I think we're gonna stop here for today, because it's centered around your early childhood and grandma and grandpa. For day 2, we're gonna do your early childhood and elementary memories. So try to be thinking about for tomorrow, more stories about what you remember when you were young, maybe lessons you had growing up, or just like memories that mark in the
Oh, when I started kindergarten was something.
Okay, so we'll start with that tomorrow.
Yeah.
I don't want to tire you out on day 1.
Are you going downstairs? Hey, you're waiting here for